Our next story is called Going to Town. It's a very special day. Once upon a time, a little girl named Laura lived in the big woods of Wisconsin in a little house made of logs. We call that a log cabin. She lived in the little house with her pa, her ma, her big sister Mary, her baby sister Carrie, and their good old bulldog Jack. One day Pa said that as soon as he had finished planting the crops, they would all go into town. Laura, Mary, and Carrie could go too. They were old enough now. Oh, they're so excited. Laura and Mary were very excited. The next day they tried to play going to town. They could not do it very well because they were not sure what a town was like. They had never even seen a store. So they're pretending, they're acting it out as best they can, imagining what it might be like. Then one night Pa said, "We'll go to town tomorrow." That night Ma gave Laura and Mary a bath. Then she wound their wet hair tightly on lots of little rags. In the morning their hair would be curly. When I was a kid they would do that sometimes too. Look at Ma's hair is long braid like me. It's very convenient when you're working in this garden. When Laura and Mary woke up, they put on their best dresses. Mary buttoned up the back of Laura's red calico dress, and Ma buttoned up the back of Mary's blue calico dress. Then Ma took the rags out of their hair and combed it into long, round curls that hung down over their shoulders. They look a lot different, don't they, with their hair curled? After breakfast, Pa drove the wagon up to the gate of the little house. He had brushed the horses till they shone. Ma sat up on the wagon seat with Pa holding baby Carrie in her arms. Laura and Mary sat behind Ma and Pa on a board across the wagon box. They were going to town. It's so exciting. They were happy as they rode through the springtime woods. Ma was smiling. Carrie laughed and bounced, and Pa whistled while he drove the horses. Rabbits stood up in the road ahead, and Mary saw deer looking at them with their large dark eyes among the trees. Suddenly, Pa stopped the horses and pointed ahead with his whip. "There you are, Laura and Mary," he said. "There's the town of Pepin, Wisconsin." Laura had never imagined so many houses and so many people. There were more houses than she could count. Laura looked and looked and could not say a word. She was amazed. Pa helped everyone down from the wagon, and they walked up to the biggest building in town. This was the store where Pa came to trade. As they climbed up the steps of the store, Laura was so excited that she was trembling all over. This is something she had never done before. The store was full of things to look at. There were sacks of salt and sugar. There were pink and blue and red and brown and purple fabrics for dresses. Look at all these beautiful fabrics. What pretty dresses they would make. There were boots and hammers and nails and big wooden pails full of candy. There were so many things that Laura did not know how Pa and Ma could ever choose. There's just so much to see. They call it a general store because it has so many different types of merchandise. When all the trading was done, the storekeeper gave Mary and Laura each a piece of candy. They were so surprised that they just stood looking at their candies. Then they remembered and said, "Thank you." The candies were shaped like hearts and had printing on them. Mary's candy said, "Roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so are you." Laura's said only, "Sweets to the sweet." What a tasty treat. After they left the store, they walked over to the lake at the edge of town. They all sat on the warm sand, and Ma opened the picnic basket that she had brought. Inside there were bread and butter and cheese, hard-boiled eggs, and cookies for lunch. What a nice treat. It's a picnic, isn't it? After the picnic was over, they all got back into the wagon to go home. It was a long trip through the big woods to the little house. Laura and Mary were very tired, and baby Carrie was asleep in Ma's arms. But Pa sang softly, "Mid pleasures and palaces, though we may roam, be it ever so humble, there's no place like home." And that is true. Till our next story, I bid you adieu.